Hey guys, how's it going? I'm finally back with a brand new series that I've been working on for the past couple of weeks now. So my friends and I are going to be playing in an 8-man tournament and find out essentially which formats are fun to play. We are going to be starting chronologically with Reaper format. Now you might be asking, why nothing prior to Reaper format? Why go ahead and start with that when there's so many other formats that predate Reaper format? Well, we were essentially going to start with Yugi Kaiba format, but after so many series, starting with like LOB and normal summon monster and pass and that level of gameplay, we figured it better to start looking at formats that are more notable that are after GOAT. Naturally, that's how we ended up on Reaper format. Now, if there's any enjoyment in some older formats that predate GOAT, feel free to let us know. From a first glance, it kind of seemed like nothing was that interesting that was like too different from GOAT, so we're deciding to just essentially move forward from that point. But we're always open to listening to feedback. If people in the community swear that X format is really fun, we'll give it a try. We'll put it on the docket. In today's video, we're going to be exploring how fun is Reaper format. Before we dive in, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you're enjoying this type of content and you want to see more stuff like this, it'll let me know that, hey, this is a good video and this is what people enjoy. Also, let me know in the comments of any formats that you would enjoy seeing if you feel like they'd be good content for the channel. Also, let me know what are your guys' thoughts on Tier 0 formats. That's something that my friend group has been thinking of. We're not sure how exploring those formats will go, so let us know if you guys would enjoy that type of content. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in. So Reaper format is a retro format based around the time frame of SJC in Long Beach, which was on March 25th, 2006. It was won by Steven Adair on Chaos the Borg, and this format is about a year after GOAT format. So the most legal set that is around at this time is Shadow of Infinity. Taking a look first glance here at Shadow of Infinity, it's a pretty interesting set. It definitely has some like notable cards that definitely changed the metagame, right? Like Treeborn Frog, an absolute menace from this point on. It's pretty crazy. And then of course, Demise King of Armageddon starts introducing another layer of ritual support, or another ritual monster, better said, that is actually explored greatly. And I believe it comes out to great amounts of success at the more competitive level. Karma Cut, same card. And honestly, I think for me personally, this has a lot of very like nostalgic cards for me. I was a huge Zane fan as a kid, really wanted to play Cyber Dragons, and so I had a deck that would like try to summon out Cyber Barrier Dragon, Cyber Laser Dragon. It was a fun time. That and the Ancient Gear cards. I think the Ancient Gear cards were always really, really cool. So this set had a couple impactful cards. I think the overall set, it's not like the craziest set, but it's also not one of the worst sets by any means, just because it has so many impactful cards. And it definitely opened up a couple areas of exploration to some new strategies. So overall, pretty neat set. The ban list is focused around October 2005. So that is right here. And I think the thing that kind of hit me right off the bat when I was looking at this list is that a lot of the GOAT format powerhouse cards got banned essentially from here, right? So like BLS is gone, Sinister Serpent's gone, Tribe's gone, Tribe Infecting, Graceful, and Pot are gone, Mirror Force and Ring of Destruction are gone. And that was really interesting to me. That was like hitting a lot of staple cards from GOAT format. Kind of led me to want to go look at this format with interest to see, is this format fun? And could this format be fun? Some other notable things, right? Magician of Faith getting limited, another GOAT format hit. Same for the Night Assailant. And Book getting limited was interesting with Mask. This Thousand Eyes Restrict limit, it makes sense along with the Metamorphosis. I think after they wreak so much havoc in GOAT, it's kind of standard. The crazy thing to me that they did was bringing back Confiscation to 1. I think it's very silly. You're cutting out things like Delinquent Duo, but then you're saying like, oh, okay, well, we'll give them back Confiscation. Like, that's pretty silly. That's so silly to me. Scapegoat gets limited at this point, and Nobleman of Crossout goes to 1. So yeah, it definitely seems like a nice change of pace. So if you're kind of looking for something that has that GOAT format feel, but you're kind of like over the trio, right? The worst 3 cards from like Edison format, BLS, like a lot of the Edison format stuff. And you kind of want something a little bit more different while keeping the same gameplay. It kind of looks like this format is pretty good for that. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at some deck lists that me and my friends played for our 8-man tournament. The common deck in the room that most players were on in our 8-man bracket is Stein Monarch. So I believe this list, or a list very close to this, was piloted by about half of the players. I think, if I'm correct, Stephen Corwin, Kevin Jamie, and Dennis Moore were all playing this exact list, and then Alexander Reynolds made a variation to this list after some playtesting. It's kind of fair to say that this is like probably the best deck. I think given like other retro format events that Format Library has been hosting. Huge shout outs to Format Library, by the way, just for having all of this information readily available and really being a great tool for anyone that's interested in any retro format, really, to get information on the format and see if the format is fun or if it's something for them. And giving players also a good starting point to go look at lists and see what is good, see if something interests them and is something that people want to play. So huge shout outs to them. Go check out Format Library if you guys are interested in this kind of stuff. Really quickly, just kind of looking at this as an overall list, I think it's kind of crazy when I see the cards. And this is something that really made me want to go and explore this format. Seeing things like Last Will being unlimited, Confiscation, and Treeborn Frog with like Monarchs and like 3 Reaper. As someone who comes from like Edison, where it's like Reaper's at 1, you don't get to play with Last Will, you don't get to play with like these clearly absurd cards. It's kind of cool that there is a format that you can play them. And we're at a point now where Cyberstein being legal, as well as Gold Sarcophagus being legal, these at the time were Shonen Jump prize cards, so you won't see these in any SJC list, I don't think. And now that we get to look at the format over a lens, we can kind of explore the format and play with these like powerhouse cards. And it really drives the format around Stein, right? It definitely just seems like a very powerful deck. And so now on to our next list here, we have Daniel Dominguez, aka Brother D, brought this list, Chaos Control. This feels very similar to the Chaos Control list that appears in GOAT format, obviously with some like differences, right? Like some huge differences, like since you have no over BLS, but BLS kind of gets replaced with like Cyberstein, and like now you have like a different type of OTK tool, Spirit Reaper, right? That becomes an auto include for this. It's definitely a little similar, but also like it's pretty different with some different newer characters coming to make an appearance essentially into Chaos Control. It's pretty interesting. I don't know. I personally was like a little less interested in this list. Stein Monarch seems a bit more interesting to me just because you get to play newer cards, but I think this is still like a solid strategy. It seems like a very good strategy as well to try if you have any interest in the format. And then we have Cat OTK. This was piloted by my cousin, Nathan Pinedo. I personally was thinking about playing this deck too. It looked really fun with like the Cattle Call and Triple Rescue Cat. I love Rescue Cat as a card. So this is another interesting idea. And I think you'll kind of start noticing that like Cyberstein is essentially like in every list here. It's definitely drives the format to play this little guy. So he's a powerhouse. And I also feel like this deck seems very fun. It feels like a fun way to play Reaper format with something that's very different from the other decks. Now how good this is, I genuinely am not sure. I don't know how. It feels like it could probably compete against something like Stein Monarchs, but Stein Monarch would probably be favored. I don't know. Maybe you can like metagame this list to like beat Stein Monarch and like you'd probably be fine, right? And then we have Zombies. Zombies was piloted by Lee Park. Zombies looks really interesting as well. I think this kind of feels much more like the GOAT zombie deck that is prominent in GOAT format, right? A couple differences with like the last duel. The last duel's pretty crazy in this. And again, right, the inclusion of Stein. I feel like this should be called like Stein format or something. Like I believe it's called Reaper format just because of the introduction of Spirit Reaper, but it does definitely feel like Stein is kind of like the key figure in this format. And then we have, I believe, the final deck here, which was I was playing, which is Bazoo Return. I really like Return from a Different Dimension. I think that's like a very fun card. So when I saw this list, I thought, oh, this looks pretty fun to play. I like playing Dekoichi, Cyber Dragons. Like, I'm a huge Machine fan, so like something like this kind of just icked at me to want to play it. I also didn't want to play the best deck because I kind of felt that a lot of people were going to be on Stein Monarch, so I kind of wanted to explore other strategies, see if there's anything else that can really compete. These are the decks, and we got our 8 players. So let's go ahead and hop into our 8-man bracket and see how people did. Here, starting off, we're going into a game 1 with me versus Lee Park. Lee Park is on the zombie deck, and I am here on Bazoo Return. Starting off here, Lee is just going to like T-set pass. So he throws it over to me. I summon Breaker. Figured at this point, like, this is pretty standard, right? Nothing too crazy here. We go Breaker effect, see if there's any response, and then just gonna attack the face down, see if there's anything. He chains Torrential Tribute. Hits a Sangan. Uses Sangan, he's gonna search a Pyramid Turtle. I pass to him at that point. Lee Park is gonna draw for turn. We know at this point that he has Pyramid Turtle in hand. He goes ahead and summons the Pyramid Turtle, attacks, and he might set something here. I think he just passes. Yeah, he just passes. Okay, so then turn goes back to me. I opt to special summon Cyber Dragon and normal summon DD Warrior Lady. I think DD Warrior Lady feels like a pretty good card in this format. DD Warrior Lady, I feel, carries like so many formats. It being something that there's something about between the time of GOAT and Edison where recruiters are just phenomenal, and I think it's at the let me do a quick pause here. Yeah, I think it's between the timeline of Tengu Plant format where DD Warrior I think starts being like just too old of a card, because then things like Reborn Tengu become more prominent, and then it's kind of like that doesn't help DD Warrior Lady, and kind of just gets outclassed at that point. Lee Park is going to special summon Cyber Dragon. It's kind of funny after playing Edison for so much, because this actually kind of like spiked my anxiety a bit, because I'm like, oh no, like Chimeritic Fortress Dragon's coming. But fortunately, we don't have to worry about Chimeritic Fortress Dragon in this format. It's not too threatening here. It's probably going to be like a crash and then attack and a direct attack with this. Oh no, he creature swaps, yeah. And this is bad. So this is a really bad situation for me. I'm kind of just going to get overrun here. He has so many monsters on the field. And then he's going to summon off of that giant rat. And then he opts to summon Pyramid Turtle, attacks for 12. And he's going to do another direct attack with the Cyber Dragon. And so then at this point, I have myself at 2,800 life, or 2,900 life. We're in a pretty bad situation here. This is definitely feeling like I kind of just got mowed down. It feels like both of us are in a weird situation where we don't have many monsters or traps, at least in our hand. Like, we're kind of just clumped on monsters because he's not setting stuff. Oh my gosh, Dark Hole's huge. We Dark Hole for 3 monsters here. Definitely, I think, puts us back in the game here. It's definitely a decent shot. Oh, with the Bazoo. Bazoo pumping up here to 2,200. 22 is probably going to get a direct poke-in. Yep. It's a pretty close game. And then I have 2 back rows, so we're looking pretty good. Lee Park at this point, special summoning another Cyber Dragon. That doesn't hop over the Bazoo, so I think we're fine. He uses effect, he pops the face down Speller Trap here. At this point here, I'm thinking, should I chain the card? Should I not? And it's a return from a different dimension. My thought process here is to think of surviving. I kind of was under the impression that maybe something bad will happen. If something does happen to the Bazoo, I just die with those 2 direct attack because my other Speller Trap isn't going to do anything. I opt to activate the return here, just kind of help insulate in case anything that's going to go wrong. Lee Parks proceeds to just set a back row here at this point and pass the turn, at which point return resolves and banishes all the cards. Now we're kind of in a weird situation because we have no monsters and we can't really pump the Bazoo. We opt here to just go for a Snatch Steal. We're going to try to take the Cyber Dragon. Cyber Dragon probably is just going to swing into that Breaker. and then swing in directly with the Bazoo. So same game plan here. We're just trying to hold tempo down, see if we can kind of just get him out of this. And at this point, it's just a really close game. It's like 1300 to 1400. We're both at pretty similar values of cards here. It really just feels like it's anyone's game, right? And then he goes to 23 for the snatch steal. This was a little interesting. It's bad for both options, right? Because Bazoo then gets to hop because he gets a big Bazoo versus Cyber Dragon. I kind of opted to give him this because it seems like no matter what, something's gonna die. I might as well just have him banish zombies from the grave because that's better for me. I didn't think his deck was going to be on like returns and stuff. I don't think it is. Removing targets for Book of Life is always nice. We up to Sakuratsu here, and he goes Book of Life, brings back his last zombie, passes. Here, there is a minor discrepancy regarding the 3-hump Lakuta that I set. Just needed a rule confirmation that if I set the 3-hump Lakuta, I activate the effect to set the 3-hump Lakuta. I can't, if I flip it again, can I activate the effect again to set it? You can't. Once you've used an effect of a once per turn card that sets itself face down, it's still that same copy, so it doesn't like reset the effect. So you can't, if you already have it in face up attack and you activate effect to flip it and then you flip it up again, you can't use that effect to like flip it back face down. Me knowing that and being at like 1400 life here, I just stopped to set. Let's not flip it. It would be nice to get the draw, but we're just way too low on life that we can't really risk direct attacks into the 3-hump Lakuta to kill me for game there. So we set it, and then I think we just set another back row card, and then I pass. Yeah, that's us joking about it. Yeah, I pass my turn here just because I don't really have a way to attack through the Pyramid Turtle. Pyramid Turtle, I'm pretty sure if I crash into that, it's just going to be a bad news situation. We, of course, give him the 1,000 life points for the Snatch Steal, so he's at 33. So he's coming up in life. I have advantage on the field. I have advantage in the hand. So it's looking pretty good for us. He opts to crash Pyramid Turtle here, and I believe summons out Ryukoki and then attacks for 300. He's in a much better position now just because he has the higher monster on the field, and I don't think I have a way to out it. It's really interesting. This format definitely feels like you can kind of just die at any second, especially with Stein. Granted, once you get both people below 5,000 life points, it's kind of like anyone's game. So now at this point, I'm opting to flip the 3-hump Lakuta, activate an effect to set it, and so that we can kind of just wall up here and like see if we can win through advantage, just win the attrition battle here. Anthony proceeds his turn, he just attacks, passes. I think at this point I'm kind of just struggling because it's like I'm drawing stuff, but it's nothing that is going to deal with the Ryukoki, and kind of just hoping to dig our way out of this. Maybe we can find another like powerhouse trap or something or spell card that'll help get us out of this situation. So here we opt to dust, hit a Sakuratsu, pass on his end phase. We draw for turn. Oh, did we find something? Found Exiled Forest, broken. So we use it, we destroy it. And now is my chance. I could try to push for a game shot here maybe. No, okay. So we're just setting a card, we're passing. And it kind of seems like both me and Anthony are just both in a, like, we're trying to find something. Some sort of background, and oh, did we hit a chainable? It's call. Yeah, I was gonna say it was probably a call on it there. So here I opt to activate return, and so now return, pay half my life. You can see it's just, yeah, because whatever, at that point you can't win. I believe I had that for a couple turns. I think I was just a little hesitant because I think if that thing doesn't resolve, I just lose, and I was just trying to find a situation where I can use it safely that goes for a kill shot through back row. And I think I just felt like if I have enough defensive tools, I can keep myself alive for that. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into game 2. So here, starting off game 2, Lee Park's going to take the play. He goes, sets one, passes. Again, not that many traps in the back row. And it does feel like a format where decks inherently aren't going to be playing a lot of back row. It seems like a very aggressive format, being the aggressor's king. We're going to go ahead and walk into Sangan here, kind of unfortunate. I was hoping to hit like a turtle or a giant rat with the Mystic Swordsman attack. We have to set 2, pass. Some interesting notes regarding Reaper format, right? It definitely feels a lot faster playing these games. The introduction of Cyber Dragon, having this 2100 special summon available to you as a resource really does push games a lot faster. So it's not only good for like clearing boards and establishing better monster tempo, right? But like we're talking about like a 2100 beat stick. That is actually additional damage if you've broken through is like insane. There's a couple, I would say there's a couple powerhouses in Reaper format, right? If you enjoy Cyber Dragon, if you enjoy Cyber Stein, if you enjoy Spirit Reaper, these are all the like kind of kings. And then I think what we'll see in later videos is that Treeborn Frog Monarchs are just the other caveat, right? Like all these cards are just crazy cards. So here we hit a Dust Tornado. We Dust Tornado into their Nobleman across out, and we're going to start doing quite a bit of damage to his board and his grave. So that's great. And try to leave him with nothing here. Giant Rat opts to summon a Pyramid Turtle here. And this is kind of the rough thing with zombies. Their high recruiter count gives them, well, not only the high recruiter count, it's just the fact that Giant Rat gets you into Pyramid Turtle, gets you into stronger attack monsters. So the fact that like you have essentially like 8 Ryukokis accessible to you in this format is pretty dang strong. It's just immediate access into a strong monster here. So I have to switch my Mystic Sword into defense. I kind of feel like I know what's going to happen here. It's going to be a crash into the Cyber Dragon. Maybe he crashes into Kaiku if he doesn't care about getting the Giant Rat destroyed to take less damage, and just summon out a Ryukoki and then just clear, right? Because I don't have any back row here, any way to deal with what he's got. So a lot of these times when playing these matches, it kind of feels like you're able to just go in, which is why I think the games tend to go on like quite a bit quicker, because everything is so aggressive. You're able to kind of just swing in for games like a lot more time, and like a lot of the like reactive traps like threatening or stuff, they don't impact your board state, and it's meant more so to just keep you alive against heavy pushes from like Cyber Stein and stuff like that. So I mean, you still have to respect things like Sekuretsu armor, right? But yeah, you'll see a lot of these decks just have a much lower trap count compared to like other formats. And so I think here he's walking in with the Pyramid Turtle. We're doing damage, and then he summons out a Ryukoki. Ryukoki kills the Kaiku for 600. A little unfortunate. Yeah, I think we're talking here if like I take battle damage. I believe we do, because Ryukoki says it'll destroy Spellcaster after damage step. So that was always an interesting effect with like that and the Getsu Fuma. Here he gets back his Pyramid Turtle, and we are not looking good right now. We are in trouble. He has very good board presence. I think we're about the same in card advantage, and he's definitely got better board presence than I do. It is looking pretty rough. We have to wall up here. Let's just try to keep our life points at bay and hope that we can maybe find something to help get us out of this. Lee here proceeds to just walk into stuff, kill, just continuing like establishing, getting an advantage. Nothing too crazy here. Passes turn. I draw. And I think at this point, I'm kind of just considering, do I have any options here? Is there anything I can do to help get myself out of this situation? I opt to pass my turn here. I'll just throw it back to Anthony. Apologies, Lee Park. I keep going back and forth between your name and your username. Lee ends up switching the turtle attack. He's just, yeah, this is disgusting. Getting confiscation here is just a rough situation for me. You'll see here that I had Chaos Orc, Bazoo, and Kaiku. It sucks for him because there's kind of no good option here, right? If you do Chaos Sorcerer, you give me 3 monsters for the Bazoo, so I go up to 25, so I can finally hop over the Ryukoki and kill it. If he does Bazoo, then I have Chaos Sorcerer alive with the Bazoo, I believe, because I believe Bazoo's dark. You kind of kill one or the other, and so you kind of just have to pick like what's worse for you. I think in this situation, Chaos Sorcerer is just generically worse, so you have to go for that one, yeah. And then that sucks for me, because now I just lost both, and we're kind of just trying to figure out if there's anything we can do from this situation. He's got 2 back row. It's definitely a little rough for me. I'm going to opt, I believe, to summon the Bazoo, and I think I just try to go for it, just because I think in this situation, there's not much else we can do. So I proceed to summon Bazoo. We go Bazoo effect. He's currently at 25, and I just need to confirm that the Ryukoki won't destroy him, because it doesn't destroy Beast, I hope. He goes Sekuretsu, and he knows I have Kaiku in hand, so it's Kaiku and an Unknown, which wasn't a Speller Trap. He just knows at this point, like, I can just walk in. We're pretty much cleared. And I need a Hail Mary draw here. Do I find anything? We find Cyber Dragon. So Cyber Dragon's not bad. Oh, okay. So that's how you know I'm desperate here, because I am fiending to get both of those guys off. So that's like the best thing I can do, and then I could probably a Kaiku direct hit in hopes that I can do anything. If maybe we can come back. And it's kind of interesting again, just like taking a look at the life point count, right? It's very close. It does feel like it could still be anyone's game. Granted, here I believe I'm at like 2 cards compared to his 5, so it is definitely not favored for me. Lee ends up taking up the hit here. He goes to 21. Bam! Another Cyber Dragon. Oh no. So Cyber Dragon comes, kills him, clears. Take 300. Now I have to deal with the 2100 beat stick. I'm definitely in hopes of a good draw here. 21 to 21. He's up in cards. So it is looking very, very rough for me at this point. What can we find? So DD Warrior Lady effect. And it's kind of interesting that he didn't summon any monsters after the Cyber Dragon hit. So he must not have good normal summonable stuff. And then he passes. He just passed. So he has T-Roar in hand. He just drew that Exiled Force. Says, fuck it, we're summoning the Exiled Force attacking. It really does feel, kind of looking at the card quality, with that Threatening Roar in his hand, he's in a pretty good situation. It kind of seems like there's another Cyber Dragon and another Ryukoki in hand. Here we up to Smashing. Set another card, pass. It kind of seems like he's a little clogged, so that I think is going to bring down the next Cyber Dragon that he has in hand. Is that what is in hand? Yeah. So there's the Cyber. He drew another trap. And so then here, attack. I'm thinking I opt to Sekiretsu Armor here. And then he sets 2 more and passes. Granted, one of those is probably going to be the Threatening Roar here, so I would say he's pretty comfortable with like 4 back row. We go to Bazoo effect here. Let's put ourselves up to 2500 attack. We try to get an attack in. He goes Threatening Roar, and then I pass back to Lee Park here. Nothing much I can do on that part. So Lee Park goes and activates Call the Haunted, targeting the Exiled Force here. Exiled Force effect to destroy the face down. Very interesting, very interesting. He seems a little tilted. He's like, man, I just got baited. Or maybe he's thinking like I said something else, or annoyed. Like he should have done something different, maybe like destroyed the Bazoo. He sets a card, passes back to me. This is kind of one of the interesting things about Bazoo Return. It's got not much gas, like not much recursion. You're kind of just trying to go all in with your strat here. Maybe I try to banish like 3 monsters and then like return back 3 monsters that you banished and just hope for that you can go for a kill shot after a little bit. Your deck doesn't really grind well. This is a really hard matchup for Bazoo Return. Bazoo Return has a really hard matchup against zombies, I feel, just because if the deck's just trying to attack, walking into a bunch of recruiters is just a miserable time for you as a Bazoo Return player, so you have to find ways to out his stuff. So here, I'm opting to go for a couple targets that can clear the face down without dying to Sekiretsu. And then what's kind of nice about this format is you don't have to respect Mirror Force because it's banned. Yeah, Threatening Roar is going to be nail in the coffin there, I think. So you can kind of just get choked out by Threatening Roar, or similar, in the same way that Stein, when you pay your 5,000, in the same way that Return does. So this is a little rough. Creature Swap is going to, I believe, seal this game. Yeah. And that's game number 2. So now we're going into game 3. Okay, so now here in game 3, I am going first, naturally. Getting that nice draw for turn here. I start my turn off with a normal summon Bazoo pass. This is a little telling of what's in my hand, right? Definitely no traps, definitely no interruptions here. My monster quality is probably not the best if I'm starting off with a Bazoo for some semblance of tempo here. Lee Park having the breaker is definitely unfortunate. I think my mentality there was, well, not a lot of the recruiters get over Bazoo, and then if you creature swap a Bazoo, it's not the worst thing in the world. Hopefully it can stick, but it's a little unfortunate that it was unable to due to the breaker. There's the second one. Here, if I am going for a Bazoo crash, I am desperate. Yeah, that's just sad. So I must have had those 2 Bazoos in hand, and I definitely feel like I probably just have a bunch of monsters in hand. Definitely don't have any Cyber Dragons. Probably would have just dropped that if I did. Spirit Reaper here is disgusting. Spirit Reaper goes in. He hits the one closest to deck. Hits a Kaiku. Kaiku is unfortunate. That definitely doesn't contest the breaker. Hopefully I can find some sort of out to the Spirit Reaper, because if I have a high monster count in hand and he keeps clearing the board and attacks in with the Spirit Reaper, I am in trouble. It is bad news for me. I up to heavy here. hit an ST. I think I'm just so desperate at this point. Donzaloo pokes here. Nice thing about Donzaloo compared to Spirit Reaper and like Ex-Cerebellum is that it can just be any attack. Like as long as it does damage, it'll rip a card compared to the others that have to do a direct attack. Not too bad, but not too good for me because, again, it's that same situation. If there's any 1500 monster, it's gonna clear it and we're gonna die. I think this is also pretty telling that those two back row aren't real, right? Because with a Spirit Reaper on the field, you would only do this if you just don't want him to get ripped. And the fact that I didn't do that play prior to the Spirit Reaper being summoned kind of gives some information away that like, oh, they're probably not real. Like maybe one of them is real, right? But then at that point, what's like the worst thing it can be? Like probably just Torrential. And even that's not that great. It's a 2-for-2. So you kind of can just, if you're in Lee Park's position here, you can kind of just go ham, which he does here, right? Giant Rat, Spirit Reaper, like this is disgusting. Pushes 14 here. I believe at this point he's up in card advantage, he's up in the field, he's up in life. We are scrambling. For my turn, I opt to draw for turn, activate Rhoda here. We're gonna go ahead and Rhoda probably for like an exiled force, possibly a DD Warrior Lady. I believe I have an exiled force in my list, and I think my train of thought here is just try to sever the Reaper damage as much as I can, because I think I drew like another monster and I don't think whatever I drew is gonna like contest a situation with the Giant Rat. We go effect, we rip the Reaper, and then I just pass. I'm kind of just trying to hemorrhage the bleeding here, at least try to stop any sort of card advantage here. It's kind of rough for other decks. So Spirit Reaper is a much rougher card to deal with in zombie decks, just because even if I contest it there, I just have to pray that he has no Book of Life, right? Spirit Reaper being a zombie gives this deck so much more utility, so it has a much easier time to deal with the situation with the Spirit Reaper and like just kind of continuing to rip away at my advantage. Here we're in, it's not too bad. We're like minus, are we still -2? -1. I think he has one card in hand. But we need to find something good, and unfortunately we do not. And so he just attacks in, because you don't have to respect Mirror Force here, and I'm kind of just hoping that maybe he'll play something, and I just have Confiscation in hand. And that's when Confiscation's at its worst, when you are below 1,000 life points. I think I drew it at the 500 life point mark, and I'm like, this is classic. This is classic. Just like I draw Trap Dough Shoot when they have like 2 cards in hand or 1 card in hand, I draw a Confiscation when I am below 1,000 life points. So, huge congratulations to Lee Park. So he gets to move on to the semifinals here. And so now let's go ahead and take a peek at the next semifinals match. So here for the next match, we have Alexander Reynolds versus Dennis Moore. They are both on the best deck of the format, what we believe to be the best deck of the format, right? Stein, Monarch. So we're finally getting our first glimpse into the mirror match here. Both players very, very notable. I think Dennis Moore is known throughout SoCal, and Alexander Reynolds tops several YCSs and several SJCs. So very reputable player, but definitely well known throughout the community. Xander goes first, he T-sets pass, Dennis follows with another T-set pass here, and then we're going back to Xander here, who's going to tribute for a Thestalos. Something we're going to see here a lot, Treeborn Frog and Monarchs are king. These are very, very good cards in this format. Oh my gosh, he's going for the Thestalos Rip for 100 life points of damage, and he's going for a Confiscation here. Ooh, and those are good cards. Very, very good cards. So Premature Burial, Dark Hole, and Mystic Tomato. These are all very, very good hits. This is looking really like a really good game for Xander. So he opts to Confiscation, rips the Dark Hole out of hand, and goes for Last Will here. What is he going to summon off Last Will? This is our first game we're seeing Last Will resolve. This is a really cool card. I think it's so fun. It's definitely broken by design. Like, it is a very, very powerful card. And Last Willing into a Spirit Reaper is great, right? Like, that is just fantastic. You get to push a lot of tempo with that. And the fact that Spirit Reaper can be destroyed by battle, yeah, you take some battle damage if it's like a recruiter or something, but like, you're not losing board advantage. And at like 8,000 life points, who cares? Dennis here has to respect the play. He goes for a Threatening Roar here. He'll take the -1 on the field. Pass. And this is kind of what the format is. You're kind of using cards like Threatening Roar, and then you even return from a different dimension, right? Kind of just want to use that to -1 stall for a turn, because you can kind of crack back on the follow-up with the type of strategy that you're playing. At this point, I believe our top 4 players are Xander and Dennis, who are on Stein Monarch, Lee Park, who is on Zombies, and Kevin Jaime, who is on Stein Monarch. That's currently our top 4 bracket, playing it out right now. Firstly, me, my cousin on Cat, and Daniel were unable to beat the Stein Monarch matchup. So, rather unfortunate, but it is what it is. Maybe next time we can beat the best deck. It appears Dennis ends up just kind of setting another monster, setting another back row passes. It goes back to Xander here. Xander is going to attack into a monster. He attacks into a Treeborn, sets another back row passes. And now we're going back to Dennis's turn here. Dennis is going to go for a Mystical Space Typhoon. He hits enemy controller in the standby phase so that he can activate his Treeborn Frog effect to resummon itself. Opts to go for Zaborg here. Zaborg effect kills Spirit Reaper, but Xander is training Torrential to destroy the board. So at this point, if we see Xander's hand here, he's got Dark Hole, Threatening Roar in hand, so he's like really reactive. Does Dennis have a card in one? He has at least 1 card in hand. I'm not sure if he's at 2, so I don't know if he's at -2 or -1. So he's gonna go. Uh-oh, is this the debut of the boy? So Xander here at this point should be at 2,000 life points, I believe. And now I guess the question is this game? Yeah, because Xander pays 5,000 for the confiscation. He pays 1,000 for the confiscation, 5,000 for the twin-headed. Now he's at 2,000 life points with Everstone at 1,200 life points. 2,000 life points versus 1,200 life points. This is scary. Feels like a direct walk into Cyberstein could have closed this out. It can't be a Monarch though. It needs to be something bigger. Let's see what Everstone's is up to here. For anyone who doesn't know, Dennis, other platforms has been known as Everstone. And he's a very active player in the retro format community too. He loves playing retro formats. And maybe you'll see him. If you ever see him at Frankensons or working for multi-monster deals, feel free to give him a shout out, let him know that you saw this video. Same for Xander. If you guys see Xander, go support his shop. Super special, awesome cards. Very nice shop. Very chill dude. It's been a very close, long-time friend. I'm super excited to have him participate in this content with me and to have him kind of just show his skills. Yeah, he just walks into the Monarch and passes. Yeah, at that point, if Dennis didn't really have much he can do, that's kind of like locked and shut. You can probably just like set the Monarch and like maybe try to bluff in that way to like keep yourself from dying, but it's kind of the same situation, except now you're just like 1 card in hand, Treeborn, and like I genuinely don't know what gets you out of that. You kind of need Dark Hole and then like follow up at that point without Xander drawing any form of monster push or anything, because you're just going to die to any normal summon. Good job to Xander for taking game 1. Let's check out game 2. Okay, so we're starting off with game number 2 here. Everstone's going to opt to go for a T-set pass and go back to Xander here. Xander's going to go for Special Summon Cyber Dragon, Normal Summon Mystic Tomato. Probably just try to push aggressively here. Opts to attack with the Mystic Tomato into DD Warrior Lady. So now Dennis here has the option to keep it alive or banish it, and he opts to keep it alive. Xander's going to force it out and get rid of the DD Warrior Lady. Makes sense. Might as well just remove tempo from your opponent's field if you can. Dennis goes for a Dust Tornado here on a Threatening Roar. That's very scary. It seems like Xander could have set double T-Roar here, but you probably don't do that. You gotta like respect Heavy Storm, right? There's no way you would want to do that. And then the punish to a Heavy Storm and losing both Threatening Roars versus Dennis needing to have an OTK push right now through a Mystic Tomato. It seems like that situation's way worse. Okay, so we are going for a Mystic Tomato Mirror match here. We're gonna crash into each other, yep. Okay, so what is Xander summoning first? Because Dennis is turn player, ECL Chainlink 1. So Xander's just going for another tomato. And now they're doing it again. So now, I think this is where you might see a variation. I think it's common for people to play 2 Mystic Tomatoes or 3. No, okay, so they're both probably on 2 still. So Xander goes for Sangan. Dennis goes for the 3rd Mystic Tomato, which I think is, I don't know how common that is. I don't know how common the third Mystic Tomato is here, but he summons that, and now it's going to be on Xander to add something to hand. Okay, so Xander's going to opt to go for a Spirit Reaper here. See anything else? Does not Dennis set anything? Does he got anything in the back? Confiscation. Oh, that's so brutal. That's so good. And I think something to note here, right, is if he had the confiscation this entire turn, seeing that he had a Mystic Tomato on the field, he's like, oh, okay, like, he could probably do a Sangan search here. And so I'm going to save the confiscation and just wait and see if a Sangan happens. And if it does happen, I can confiscation in main phase 2 for a much better disruption compared to just shotgunning that main phase 1, right? So that very good analysis on Dennis's part here to hold on to that confiscation until main 2. And definitely being rewarded for the foresight, right? Because in a format like this, where you're not worried about like hand traps, you're not worried about things like gores and drag too, right? You definitely get rewarded for like holding out on these types of cards. So that was really cool. I really dig that play. That was super sick. Dennis here is going to proceed to set. Xander lost his brain control here with like full hand knowledge now, except for the last will. Dennis knows everything in there except for the last will, right? And he's going to T-set pass, give it to Dennis. Let's see what Dennis is going to do here. Dennis is going to just set one pass. Going back to Xander here. Xander's just going to pass. It kind of seems like both players are just kind of trying to find something. Oh man, is this it? Are we going to see another push? He's Ernestine in the end phase, so he didn't do that the turn prior. Let's see what happens. We're specialing or normal summoning a Cyber Dragon, and then we're using that to turn on the last will. Wow, so he just T-set a last will. He's going to Cyber Stein. Interesting. Very interesting here. So what? Cyber Stein, a Cyber End Dragon? If you Cyber Stein here, you pay 5,000 for a Cyber End Dragon. We know at that point that that's a Spirit Reaper. So no, it can't be Cyber End Dragon. It has to be something else, right? There has to be a different way to destroy that face down. Okay, so he opts to summon Gatling Dragon. And so for anyone who doesn't know, Gatling Dragon is going to toss a coin 3 times, and then it's going to destroy monsters on the field equal to the amount of heads here. So let's see how many get hit. So I think they're doing evens is heads, odds is tails. And then, so that's 2 heads, 3 heads. I believe that's 3 heads. Yep. Okay, so he's got to kill his Cyber Dragon. A little unfortunate. That's like the second worst thing versus no heads. So if it was all tails, that's like the absolute worst. So now it is, I would say this is a little scary for Dennis. It's a little scary for Everstone here just because now he's very low on life. So Xander's going to proceed to set, pass. Okay, so Dennis for a turn is going to be activating the effect of Gatling Dragon and destroying. He got 2 heads, so it has to destroy 2. I believe here you're technically supposed to roll a 3rd time, but I believe if it's like regardless if it's tails or heads, it doesn't matter at that point because it has to destroy as many as possible. So you're still just going to destroy both monsters. So I talked to Dennis after this, and he was saying that he was hoping that it wouldn't be 5 heads in a row. It wouldn't make sense. And I was just kind of like, you're crazy. Like, your odds there at that point is that you're going to hit like 2 heads. Like, that's pretty likely out of the 3. I wouldn't have done such a crazy play. Everstone here, he opts to go for a Cyber Dragon effect. Can you not? I guess you can't summon back the Cyber Stein. It's technically not a fusion summon, I guess, right? You're just special summoning it, so it's not illegal summon target back. This is looking pretty close. Like, it could be anyone's game here. The one thing I'll say about Dennis is he's a crazy person. He is a gambler, definitely. To be playing chance cards like that, you know. He's a crazy boy. I love to see it. And also, not for nothing, guys. This is actually, so we were playing in a cash tournament. This is a 8-man tournament. Everyone put 20 bucks on the line, so we're playing for $160, and that gets allocated for 1st and 2nd. So like once you get 1st and 2nd, you can decide what you want to do. If you want to do like a winner takes all, 50-50 split, 60-40, it's up to you guys, however you want to do it. So I kind of wanted to give some incentive to like want to try, right? So like give people a chance to like test and play and try to come up with stuff. I'm hoping that this can at least provide some incentive for coming in and playing and hanging out with friends. Xander is looking like he's in a great position. He goes Treeborn Frog effect, tribute for Jinzo, goes last will now. He is less than 5,000 life points, so it can't be a Cyberstein push. Now the question is what, right? What are you going to go with? Oh, he's activating a 2nd last will. Oh my goodness. So 2 Last Wills are resolving right now. Oh man, that's so funny. So it's a Treeborn Frog and a Mother Grizzly, it seems. And he appears to be thinking on what he wants to do with the positioning of the Mother Grizzly. Jinzo here is going to do quite a bit of work. I think Jinzo stunning out your back row is definitely nothing good. Nothing good can come of that. Here, double attacks in. And what's kind of even worse about this situation is that Jinzo says your trap cards can't be activated. So he can't even like just activate those cards for the sake of getting rid of them. This is a very, very bad situation for Everstone here, because he's not going to be getting that Treeborn Frog back anytime soon. So now the question is what can be done, right? How do you beat back this board? And yeah, I will say that the Stein return deck here, if you compare it to the Bazoo return deck, it does seem like a really nice mid-range deck in the regard that you have recursion from your Treeborn Frog and Monarch strat that you can. Oh, he's brain controlling that. Oh, he's just okay. He's conceding the game here. So huge congratulations to Xander here for wrapping up game 2. Something really quick to note about the Stein Monarch deck, right? If you see it really nicely, it's kind of clear that deck has a really solid amount of aggressiveness to it with like Last Wills and Cyberstein. Like you can present a lot of damage with that deck. It also does have a good amount of recursion and grind to it. With continuously getting back a Treeborn Frog and summoning that using that to summon Monarchs is very, very nice grind. And even Xander was like playing Mother Grizzlies. This deck will play like Recruiter, similar to the zombie strat, to just like kind of tutor out options that are very good for the help leverage you. So you get a really nice combination of aggression as well as defense and grind. With that, let's go ahead and jump into the finals here real quick and see who's going to reign on top. Alright, so here we have the final match. So Lee was able to beat Kevin Jaime on zombies, and as we just saw, Xander was the winner for the Stein Monarch mirror match. So we are going to have ourselves another variety here. Instead of a mirror, we're going to have zombies versus Stein Monarch. We know what both players are on, especially since they were both previously feature match players. I think that's going to be the case. No, it's possible for at least one of them to be new, like not be on stream. In this case it was. I did really want to get that cat deck. I'm sad that he couldn't make it through the first round. So here we're going to start off. Lee is going to be setting one passing. Alex is doing the same, it seems. And throwing it back to Lee Park, who's just going to attack into a Treeborn Frog here. And so again, kind of just showing how this deck can grind, right? Like in this war state here, worst case scenario, Treeborn Frog is going to be blocking you an attack. It's like a Scrap Iron Scarecrow at your opponent's discretion of what they want to attack into the Treeborn Frog. That in Reaper format is really, really nice. You do get to do a nice block of damage in that recursion here. So going for Thestalos here. Thestalos hits a Torrential. Interesting. Into a Last Will. So Lee Park opting to not set that Torrential. What could that mean, right? Like he probably could have like a Heavy Storm in hand maybe, and he's waiting. Xander is just going all in here. Xander's paying 5,000 for a Cyber Twin. And then what? Just walks Cyber Twin in twice? That's a little scary. I think you have to go the Stalos first, so that when this summons the Ryokoki, you don't clear it. You can clear it with the second attack of the Cyber Twin Dragon. So I think it's supposed to be Cyber Dragon Thestalos, and then Cyber Dragon hits your final guy. But maybe Lee might go into like another Pyramid Turtle too. I guess if he does that, Lee Park doesn't have to go for that line. Yeah, and like you can just do a Spear Reaper stall instead. So this is a little scary because now you paid a lot, but you didn't really do much damage. Well, he did do damage, yeah. So there's the heavy, so he did have that. So now Xander's using the Threatening Roar to prevent any attacks from going through. Xander's losing his Treeborn Frog with the Book of Life effect. I think Book of Life in this format's also really, really good. I think that's a really good way to contest Treeborn Frogs, with Treeborn Frog being at 3. Having a way to out it is very, very nice. Lee Park here is just walling up. I think he's just trying to find a way here where he can kind of just push through with his recruiters. And that's kind of, this is like really nice leverage that zombies have in this format compared to other decks. The fact that you can just tutor your way through to survival is, I think, very, very strong. The fact that once you've done a push, you're left at 3,000 life points from the Stein, that's looking a little rough. So now here, if he goes Ryukoki, but he's thinking about going for the 3 Humplakuda. No, yeah. So you go Ryukoki here. So sat pass. Yeah, so this is one of the weird kind of, I guess, technical things. Like you could sequence this in a bit. I don't know how much it would matter, because then again, you would just not go for the Ryukoki at that point, and I don't know how much you want to stress that. Okay, that's interesting. That's a little scary. So this is what, gonna just kind of do a clear. Okay. Lee Park, I think right now is at 42. Oh man, these threatening roars. Oh wow, and tribute for Cyber Dragon. Broken. The biggest threat has been dealt with. So now the question is, what can be done here? So Xander's going to go ahead and hit into a Sakuretsu armor, and it looks like Lee Park is dismantling the board. So now this game is looking really, really well favored into Lee Park's game right now. So Lee Park's going to pass here to Xander's turn. Xander is currently thinking. Xander is going to tribute the Treeborn Frog for a Zaborg, and Zaborg is going to attack into Cyber Dragon here. I do think that, yeah, you kind of just have to not respect any back row here, because I don't know what the winning play is if you're not trying to gain any semblance of advantage here. That could just clear the game. That could be game, because, yeah, it's just lethal on board. All right, Lee Park with Zombies takes game 1. Let's go ahead and check out game number 2 here. So here we are in game number 2, and Xander's going to take play. He's going to probably just go with like a T-set pass, right? I think T-set pass is like pretty standard here. Maybe you want to be risky in set 2, but no. So he's got Threatening Roar, Brain Control, Pistalos, Mother Grizzly in hand. Lee Park's going to special summon Cyber Dragon, walk into Sangan. Xander's going to proceed to add Spirit Reaper from the Sangan. Lee Park's going to set 2 cards, pass, and Xander fips a Royal Decree. Very, very interesting side option here. Xander with the Royal Decree now. Threatening Roar is like a little dead. Xander here is going to opt to go for a Brain Control. And with that Brain Control, he's just going to attack directly. Attack for 21 here. Use the Stalos, rip a card out of the hand. So that's not bad. That's pretty good. I think stunning out and he hit his Brain Control. One of the other crazy things, right? I don't think I mentioned it, but Brain Control at 3 is nuts. Like, I think 3 Brain Control in a format with Monarchs is incredibly powerful. Lee Park's going to proceed with a T-set pass here. It feels like it's rough for Lee Park right now. If he's on a bunch of back row against a Decree on the board with the Stalos that he has to deal with. Xander's going to summon Mystic Tomato here. And I think he's just going to start pushing Cyberjar Resolution. I didn't even talk about Cyberjar in this, but Cyberjar is another very fun card. I think it's like a nightmare to resolve. So for anyone that doesn't know, Cyberjar is going to destroy everything on the field. You're going to draw the top 5 cards of your deck. And then if you drew a level 4 or lower monster, you have to special summon the monster. And then the positioning of the monster is up to you. You'll have to select which ones you want face up and which ones you want face down. This is where like the nightmare to rule this comes out, because people don't really know. It's like, well, I don't want to say what I'm doing face up and face down before I know what my opponent is first. So you kind of have to like say like, hey, these are the ones, and kind of just, I don't know what other way it can be done where it's like, hey, both players with no information get to pick what's face up and face down. So it's a little rough. In this case, I don't think it matters too bad. I think Xander's opting to go for like all of his potential targets, Treeborn Frog, Breaker. Like, so out of those two, you're always doing Treeborn face down, I believe, and Breaker probably face up. You can do that one face down, and that doesn't really matter. DD Warrior Lady, Spirit Reaper, and Exiled Force, you probably just do all those face down. And so once you select, if you have multiple face down targets, you can shuffle them. Your opponent won't know like what is face down and where. You're allowed to randomize that, so that you don't know what's going face down. It's random in that regard. If you do have multiple face down targets, so I think Lee Park here is going to go 3 face down, shuffle them. You have the chance, it's like a 66% chance that you're walking into something bad, being Exiled Force, or not Exiled, being Spirit Reaper, or DD Warrior Lady, and then you kind of banking on that 33%. Xander's at least banking on the 33% that he'll walk into Exiled Force here. This is like a very favorable situation. But this is the main reason why Cyberjar is a nightmare to resolve here. And it's a little unfortunate for Xander. you kind of wish that maybe I think at this point you're kind of hoping that maybe Lee has a way to interact with the Treeborn Frog. It's like, it's bad in both ways, right? It's rough in both situations because Royal Decree is stopping the Treeborn Frog from coming back, but then if that Royal Decree is like stunning out 3 back row, I don't know what's better, more desirable for you in that situation. Like, do you want to lose Decree there? Do you care? He attacked into DD Warrior Lady, and he's not going to banish. He's just going to keep them both on the field. Xander passed to Lee Park, and Lee is using MST here to pop the Royal Decree, and Dust Tornado here to pop the... Oh, man. He seems so salty. Like, damn it. I should have respected it. I don't know. It's so funny. Something funny about Lee Park is if there's something to be salty about, he's very reactive with it. So it's kind of fun to see on stream where he's like, oh no, damn it. Lee Park is definitely looking like he's in a favorable situation right now, especially with like attack position Spirit Reaper. That being said, I think Xander still has more card advantage. He's going to be at like 5. He'll be at 5 cards in hand after the Spirit Reaper resolves compared to Lee's 3 in hand and like 4 on board. So it's still not going to be a good position for Xander. And actually here, is there another Treeborn Frog engraved? That matters a lot. I don't think there is. So if there is no Treeborn Frog engraved here, this is rough. This is like a really, really rough situation here. Spirit Reaper hits the Borg. Lee Park's got 2 on field, 3 on field with the back row, and then 3 in hand. So he's got a good amount of board presence. And I think Reaper here, again, is just showing how destructive of a card it is in this format. I think just being able to like net advantage from ripping your opponent's hand and your opponent not having chainable things, it's definitely really, really rough. So it definitely makes sense why they call the format Reaper format. I will say I don't think he's alone in contenders. Oh, interesting. So soul exchanging the Spirit Reaper so it dies and then setting a card. He has Ryza, Jinzo, Threatening Roar in hand, Mobius. This is a rough situation. I can see why he opted to do that. It doesn't seem like he has anything that can really deal with the Spirit Reaper here. It's kind of that same situation that I did where I dealt with the Spirit Reaper because you don't really have any other... If you don't have any ways to interact with it and kill it because it can be killed by battle, right? And you don't clear the Spirit Reaper, any removal on your opponent is a +1 because the Spirit Reaper is going to rip a card out of your hand. So it's really, really annoying. It's bad to the point where you kind of just want to get rid of it. I mean, I respect the play, so now let's see what he opts to go for here. We know he has Jinzo Mobius in hand. You probably tribute for Jinzo so that they can't activate the trap, and then I believe Gigantes is a Heavy Storm. Yeah, Threatening Roar. Damn. Yeah, and so this is kind of that's a little bit of a punish for going for Mobius over Jinzo. Because yeah, I think if you kill Gigantes, I might also be wrong. If Gigantes is a Feather Duster, it doesn't matter. But if Gigantes is a Heavy Storm, that's a little rough. Lee Park here is going to opt to go for a crash. He crashes the Ryukoki. Oh my god, and Book of Life. Yeah, this is just showcasing how nice Book of Life is. I feel like you could maybe be a bit more proactive there. Maybe you do that in phase 2. But I respect this too. It's a lot more safe. It's much better to be defensive in this case and not get punished to something like Torrential Tribute. We test the water, see if it resolves, and then you don't have to walk into other traps and stuff too. No need to put yourself at risk. Lee Park here goes for a Premature Burial. Attacks into Spirit Reaper. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Pass. So we know Xander has Jinzo in hand. I do need to look at... I forget what Gigantes does. I forget if that one's a Heavy Storm or Duster. He opts to set a card and pass instead of secondary with the Spirit Reaper. That kind of makes sense just because checking in with the Jinzo doesn't really make sense. So he passes back to Lee Park. Lee Park goes Gigantes attack, but Xander has Threatening Roar, so that's not happening. Xander is going for a Heavy Storm here, tributing over for Jinzo. That's not too bad. What does he got? He has 2 Threatening Roar in hand, so he's kind of just hoping that maybe if he kills the Jinzo, he walks with it. If there's like a creature swap or something to take control of it, it's, yeah. I think Lee Park just drew Brain Control. Is that cooked? No. No, because you kind of have to, again, fight your... How do you beat the Reaper, right? So you would have to find a way to beat Reaper. And then you have to challenge the Jinzo here. So I don't think there's any available line here. Seems like I spoke too soon. Okay, we know Lee Park has brain control in hand, so he's kind of in a semi-favorable position here because he can react. It's now on him to develop something, and it's a little scary for Xander here. That is a walk into Pyramid Turtle. And if you summon out a Ryukoki, now you can brain control the Spirit Reaper, crash the Ryukoki, and you can probably like go for like hand rips and stuff. Now you got to ask yourself, what is Xander's back row? What do we got here? We have brain control, destroys. And he's scooping it up because it's... What happens? Yeah, is that game? He might be lower than 38, but it kind of seems like brain control that, crash the Ryukoki, and then probably like another summon or something's going to kill him. So that makes sense. I see that. Huge congrats to Lee Park for winning first 8-man Reaper format bracket. And I think here we got a pretty good introspection into why zombies can actually compete in this format. I think Book of Life carries so hard to banish Streetborn Frogs in this, and I think just doing that kind of decrumples the deck. Like, it kind of just falls apart, because if you have a lot of tribute monsters in hand and like no frogs to bring back, you kind of have to bank on things like drawing Cyber Dragons and cards alike to try to get those out. Definitely a really good showing from Lee Park, and a huge congrats to him for winning. So with that, guys, let's go ahead and actually like ask ourselves the question, right? Like, all right, guys. So now that we're back from some pretty cool gameplay, huge shout outs to Lee Park again for taking this 8-man. Make sure that he doesn't continuously win, right? And that will give him a run for his money. So good luck next time, Lee Park. Let's see how many of these you can get under your belt. So let's come back to the question, right? Is Reaper format a fun format? Personally, I had a decent bit of fun playing this format. It feels enjoyable in the sense where I'd be down for playing some Reaper format, maybe at a locals night, you know, where it's like 16 people come out, 20 people come out, play some Reaper format, or do some like pickup games at locals. Like, I think in that sense, Reaper format's really fun. If you're thinking of something like a grandier scale, something like Ultimate Time Wizard, or like a grindier system, right? Like a ranked ladder of some sort, I personally wouldn't have the drive to play that for an extended time, at least. Like, I'd probably go in and like try it out, right? Or try, but I think the things when you're looking for like a competitive format, Reaper format doesn't have what I'm looking for to want to explore that format in like a competitive space. Then like we have to ask ourselves the question, right? Like, so who is this format for? I believe that this format is really fun for people who enjoy a more solved format. The format feels pretty solved, with Stein Monarch being the best deck that you can play in the format, and other decks needing to respect that, right? So when you're doing your deck building, you kind of have to play in mind with how am I going to approach the Stein Monarch matchup, whether it's with my side and my main, right? If you're a player that enjoys doing a lot more metagaming, like you like thinking about that kind of deck choices and playing to beat what is known as like the best deck, you'd probably have a ton of fun playing in events like this, in like a tournament level play. I think this format is more for people who enjoy a more macro scale game plan. Something that you'll notice in a lot of these games is it feels much more like GOAT format, where it's going to be several turns being passed and forth, and you're kind of trying to approach your game plan in a more grander scale, versus something that's like more technical, right? Where you're going to have to be like within one turn, sequencing in several ways, and like you can miss sequence. There's like a little bit of that, right? There's sequencing in the sense of like what Dennis did, where he goes Confiscation min phase 2 after kind of reading the plays and thinking like, oh, a same game could happen here. So there's like those micro scale rewarding plays. A lot more of your game plan is just going to be on like a bigger level, trying to think about how you are going to win this game, and much less about like how you're going to sequence your cards to do that, right? So I think if you're a player that enjoys like more macro scale game plans like that, you'll probably enjoy this. I think if you're into GOAT, but you want like a spin on it, this definitely is for you. And also, it's for people who enjoy faster games. I think a lot of these games tend to be over pretty quick, because it usually results in like a player having to do the sign play, do a return play. You're going to make your aggressive play, and then opponent either has like a threatening roar or something, and they have the comeback, or they don't. It's definitely much more faster paced compared to things like GOAT, where, you know, there's like 3 scapegoats that you have to deal with, a lot of back row that you have to deal with in respect. These games go much faster compared to that. If you're into faster gameplay, macro plays versus microscale plays, and you enjoy metagaming, I would say that jumping into this format is like a very good start. And finally, will I personally be keeping a Reaper format deck? And the answer is yes. I will be keeping a copy of Stein Monarch with me to play with friends or anyone that wants to have any pickup games with Reaper format. I find the game's really enjoyable to play personally. I think it's like a very nice change of pace compared to the other more mainstream retro formats. I like playing GOAT. I think I played it so much to the point now where I feel a little burned out of it and would rather have like a nice kind of spin on GOAT level gameplay or GOAT type gameplay and have it be a little bit faster. And I think there's just something about like the broken cards, getting to play things like Confiscation, Last Will, and Cyberstein, I think just make it so much more refreshing. It just feels like a nice, refreshing spin on it. If you stayed to watch the entire video, thank you very much for hearing me rumble about Reaper format. It was a ton of fun to do, and I genuinely just want to go through a bunch of formats and just continue to explore and see what else is out there for people to play. And for anyone interested in wanting to play other stuff, kind of just give a good video to help people explore and see like what these formats are about and what you would find enjoyment out of them, or what you will find, whether you enjoy it or not. The next format I am going to be working on here is Perfect Circle. We will actually be live streaming our tournament on May 24th. So if you're interested in watching the gameplay live, you can follow the Twitch or follow the YouTube and turn on notifications for that because it'll be on both channels live. So you can check that out. Also, if you guys are interested in competitive Edison gameplay, feel free to come out to RBET Los Angeles. So that, if you need to sign up for, I will have in the description below. Feel free to come out, come play some Edison format. It's very fun. I, along with Keegan, Lee Park, and Collectible Exchange, we are organizing this. So come out, come play. It'll be fun. You can see me there. And then if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. And thank you a lot again for watching, guys. If you can, please drop a like, follow the channel. Just, all of that helps boost and helps with me trying to. With that, guys, until the next one, peace.